Danno O'Shea.
Hi, Jim Fannon.
What the hell's going on, brother? Thanks for making the time. I've been chasing you for a while. I appreciate it. You got some downtime with the business or what?
This is almost exactly like the setup at 610. There is some...
Stop advertising for terrestrial radio.
There is some
it's almost like
odd pictures on the wall. It looks like there's some tea towels. This is what I came for. The true
monogram tea towels.
Some monogram tea towels. Yes, I'm
embarrassed.
I'm off the road now for a little bit. Yes,
I always call it back in the day when man, you guys are blowing up now. But back in the day, I used to call it, hibernation. My son, the hurricanes migrate hibernation, because there was a time there where you went away from September to kind of March.
Certainly. And now it's maybe I don't see the guys as much between December and March, but my work is
ongoing.
Is very ongoing. So, yeah, I'm just I just set up shop and I do I do full-time agent work. So we're talking 8 to 10 hours a day. You can't really keep regular hours with that sort of thing.
Okay, so let's hit Mice on the Hurricane first, and then we'll get into Vegas Funeral Records. And
sure.
I want to really go a deep dive into the acts, and then you've been, I don't know, do you get acknowledged for the inspiration that you are often, especially when it comes to the mentorship or the coaching and sobriety, or your vulnerability and talking about, you cleaning up your life and going sober?
I don't know. I think that, a lot of times people know because, Hurricane has sort of been a band for about 10 years, but in most people's eyes it's about 3 years old. And when people ask what was the change, I always say, well, there's a few things. We had a big personnel change, and we obviously brought in Sylvie, and we lost some members, and we brought in some great players, and we made a big financial commitment. Vegas Funeral started, and I got clean and sober, which if you ask the guys what the band was like back then, it was a pretty big party, and it's very far from that now. Now I'm in what I call the Law and Order room, the room where we watch Law and Order, then we go to bed.
A buddy of mine, when he got sober, and he struggled with it a few times, fell off a few times, but the first one he kicked, and the biggest problem for him was alcohol. Yeah. So he'd play around, and I think he became an occasional abuser rather than a perpetual alcoholic. But he said to me that since his sobriety, he called himself Mr. Available. And when you talk about his availability, one, when he was boozed up, and then two, when he had to recover from the booze, he was Mr. Unavailable. So the opportunity that he lost, the sobriety gave him this moniker of Mr. Available. I can do it anytime. I'm not subject to the effects of alcohol.
Yeah, the recovery, and I used to call it the pursuit. And now, I don't know if you remember, back in the old days when you were on the station that shall not be named, I used to come in, I used to bring beer with me. So this time I brought myself a non-alcoholic.
Grolsch.
Yeah. It's kind of like drinking lawnmower clippings, but if you can...
Bex is better.
Yeah, if you can just get past... I've made my peace with what they taste like, and I have told myself that I now enjoy them. So we're sticking with that story.
I enjoy them as well. Well, not all of them, but I realized that when I quit drinking, and currently I am drinking, I tend to be the guy that's... the occasional abuser. So, but now that I've cut, and then, so the occasional abuser turns into the more often abuser, then you're drinking every day. But, when I quit beer or alcohol, I would often chug non-alcoholic beer just the way I love the taste of beer. And I down them like they're, like I'm thirsty, like it's quenching a thirst or something like that. And when I go into that mode, even the non-alcoholic beers get crushed, like 3 sips to a beer type of thing.
Yeah, I definitely understand that, but they also make you feel bloated and like hell, so that's helpful. And to answer the question that was 5 minutes ago, no, I don't think I often get noted for that sort of thing. But mentorship, whether it be like sobriety or whether it be like young bands, I think it's important to me. Like I do charge people to like consult, but the amount of questions I deal with on a regular basis, like I always tell people that if you have one meeting with me, you've entered into a lifelong correspondence. And it's because I'm always checking in, and I try to, because I know that this is a brutal field, man. It is a brutal field, and if you don't know where to start, it's very hard. And even if you do know where to start, it's exceptionally hard. And, as someone who started a band that makes no sense, like absolutely no sense on paper, and, I would go into these big meetings with these, big agencies, and they would just set me straight, and they would tell me what I needed to do, and I love that. I wasn't the kind of guy who took that personally. I just wanted to know, what I was doing wrong. So yeah, so the answer is, I'm happy to mentor, even if that's not it's not on my business card.
Yeah, I just wonder because many of the musicians that I hang with and started to become good friends, and G's running the board today, watching the levels as well, talks about impact of sometimes a very casual or very directly like a conversation that you either seek out or maybe it just happens one day. I mean, I remember seeing you in front of my office one day and go, hey, and getting caught up and just, I was inspired and triggered by your just sharing what you've been up to. I'm like, wow, it stuck with me. And then, you've got the heart or the brains or both to say, good luck today, Super Bowl Sunday. I'm like, Danno? Like, seriously? He says, well, I got this weird thing. I remember people's football fans, who they're fans of.
Right, that's right.
That was so cool to me. Like, here I am, just geeked all day. My team is going to the biggest show on earth for the first. Well,
I do think we once on the radio half watched a football game while doing an interview. So yeah, you were
one of my first guests. I think I had you in with was Jesse Reed there. I know we interviewed
Jesse Reed and Sarah Beatty once.
Yeah.
And
that was Wainwright on the phone once. I think what's the kid from Secord's name?
Billy Sadler.
Billy Sadler was on.
Yeah, I haven't seen him again since, but I see Sarah every now and again. There was actually a festival in BC we were supposed to play with Sarah this year, actually, but our van kind of died, so we missed her. And Jesse Reed, of course, they're playing these amazing songs. I'm just there doing nothing, just talking about the biz. But yeah, they're great.
Jesse Reed, what a songwriter, and Sarah's new album, Bandit Queen. Oh man, it's just one of those albums that I put in the deck and it just stayed there, and I locked in on it for months. And
yeah, I mean, I don't know how new it is now, but we had got her. We've gotten her for a few shows, or to ask her to open, and as a solo performer on stage, because obviously I drummed behind her for years, but as a solo performer on stage, she has something different. I think she has quite a show. She's really refined the show. She's toured around, and I can speak about it for Hurricane too. Like, there's nothing like massive amounts of touring just to create the comfortability on stage, to understand tension. She's really got it.
Presence, you got it, or you don't got it. You can't learn to have what Sarah Beatty has on stage, I don't think. Yeah. I mean, you can get better at it.
Yeah,
charisma is just, I think it's natural mostly,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, if I were in front of a microphone singing, I would not have it. But hiding behind a drum set, it's great.
Right. Can we start a rumor about getting the Marantz project back together for a small tour or something?
Never.
One show?
No,
never?
No, that's never. It's never going to happen, ever.
Still in my deck, man.
Yeah, trust me. I'm asked at least once a year by somebody who has a great idea to put on a Marantz reunion. No, thank you. Yeah.
Too busy doing what you're doing?
Too busy doing what I'm doing, and I believe that,
And how can you say never? It's so absolute.
Well, there's just like great... I love that band. I really love that band.
So many people did as a Saturday night staple to Mansion.
Absolutely,
right?
and I met a lot of my now bandmates through it. But some things are, you don't want to cack on the memory of something great. Okay. And sometimes the memory is better than what the reality would be, and I just don't know if. Who knows? We're all older, and it's different, and maybe sometimes the the era and that time is the unofficial sixth member that you never noticed. That it was just a time when people were in a different spot in their lives, and that's probably occurring in different pockets that we don't know about because we're not akin to them right now, and I think that's pretty neat. So that's why I say no, because that unofficial member, just that time, that era is no longer a thing. I met Jacob there. That's how I met Jacob. That's how I wanted him for Hurricane. He got up with us one day. I didn't know who he was.
Wow.
And
Did he rap?
He rapped. He had Tom Nems had been telling me about this band Baked, and I had seen Jamie Goddard before. And then he's like, "That's the other rapper." And we got Jacob up, and he owned the crowd.
Really?
And he was really drunk. And but he was amazing, and he was, he's a great guy, and I think we talked about Mr. Bungle afterwards or something like that. So I know when I find my people. And then years later, whenever I started Hurricane, I needed someone who wouldn't disappear in front of all those horns. And I was like, who is that guy? And sonically, Jacob's voice is also like up here. It's like over top of all those things. Yeah.
Back in the day, I think you guys opened up for USS in the backyard of the Mansion House. And before I knew Jacob, I think that might have been the first time I saw you guys.
Oh, right.
Did that happen? Did you open for USS at...
Geez, we've played with them a lot.
Maybe it wasn't, but I remember the stage at the back facing Ontario Street and just not being able to take my eyes off the kid. And one, charisma out the ass. One, you can't turn away. And two, the whole band... And I still say this, it's probably lost its luster on me a little bit because I've seen you so many times now. But when I first saw you guys, it was like, this is the most fun bands ever had on stage. Just like you guys smiling and just getting into each other and just enjoying that moment. Not, oh, well, we got a gig, we got a paycheck and a bunch of beers and we're out of here.
Yeah.
It just looked like you guys were having a blast up there.
I think we also... It's kind of strange because the band does have a bit of a revolving door of characters. So sometimes you'll be like, oh, that's strange. Victoria's not at this gig, or so-and-so's not at this gig. Why is that? And so because of, scheduling and life and things like that, you kind of have to have that. But no matter who comes in or who comes out, it does feel like really family-like. And you don't, that's another thing, you have it or you don't. And I've come into bands where you're like, this is a hostile environment, or one person is the show. I know I get a lot of credit for Hurricane, and it's very nice, but I don't write all the songs. Guys are bringing in. Chris Sippis will often come to me, just send me a voice note of something great, or there's that old saying that amazing things can happen when you don't care who gets the credit. And I remember when Sylvie had emailed me just this 10-second snippet of Smile. And it was just the chorus, and it sounded like it was recorded in a bathroom. And she said, this was as she was just joining. She said, would you be interested in doing this? And I said, if you're gonna gift wrap me an amazing song, I will say thanks. I don't need to. I don't have a writing credit.
The ego
on
doesn't
it.
flare up right off the bat.
That doesn't hurt my feelings. If someone, on our new record, which will be coming out in the spring, there's a couple songs I didn't touch. I don't mind. They're great tunes. I didn't have anything for that sort of thing. And I was really, I'm very happy about that. I like that ego isn't a big part, and Jacob and Sylvie are both really comfortable taking the spotlight at different moments.
And Jacob's been good sharing the stage too. No ego there either. I mean,
oh no, I think he also just likes
open arms,
an ability to breathe. Because before he was, you could never stop. Now he gets one song off. We do one cover song while Jacob goes and drinks as much water as a human can drink in 3.5 minutes. Towels off. Sometimes puts on a Macho Man Randy Savage t-shirt and comes back out. It's pretty sweet.
And then throws up when he's done.
Always. That's just a thing.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. At Front 54. Thank you, man. So cool. I emceed that event. And Champion came up.
Oh,
and
Everett.
Steve told me afterwards, dude, I don't know if you know this, and this goes back to, I want to make sure I acknowledge you for your leadership, because it's important. The music's important. It gets us through tough times, and you don't hear it enough. And that, I don't know, maybe you're less prone to it, but we all have that voice. You suck. You're not enough. Shut up. Mm-hmm. And Steve told me years later, I love Everett. Easy. I don't know if he's still going.
But
by
I think
that.
he's just going by Everett Champion.
Everett Champion, which is great. Your introduction, I think it was his first live gig.
I think
Steve said your introduction, give him space. Like, this is tough. This is the kid's first time. I want you to really support him and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Steve, because, anyways, a huge opportunity. But I was standing out front after the show. Bergsma flies out and throws up right in the snowbank.
Oh,
he barely made it outside. I'm like, dude, you okay? He's like, no. I'm okay. All right.
It's just a mix of, I think, maybe nerves at first, and then just like he goes so hard. And speaking of Everett, we played Lee's Palace, it was sold out, and it was great. We got Everett up for a tune. Yeah. And so it was really neat for me, someone who's known him for years and years now, to see he's probably 19 or 20 now, something like that. And to see him in front of that crowd, I've played Lee's Palace enough times to know one with other bands, so I don't take for granted when I have a sold out show. Right. And so it's really neat whenever you get to look. I have this moment almost every night, and I think it's because I don't know if I'm a daydreamer or what, but we'll be playing and I'll kind of look out and I'll look at the different people and think, wow, this is really amazing. And you have these people from different places and expats from different countries and people with, people who are just like, they have, like, they're just from a single parent home, or they're from somewhere else, or they have a bunch of siblings, or they're only children, and I think, like, there's all these different, and ages, Kaylin's 19, Fraser and I are kicking off into other areas. So yeah, it's
Fraser's one of the oldest bandmates too.
Phrase has been around since the beginning.
Oh, right.
So those horn players, my theory knowledge is pathetic in comparison.
Oh, really? So are there tracks? He made it sound like there's tracks where you write the drums, the like all the musical tracks for all the instruments in the song.
I will write out a bunch of stuff, but usually what ends up happening, especially when it comes to horns now, is I will write out like horn lines that I have in my mind and send them to Alex, who is the lead trombone player, and he will chart them out, maybe harmonize them better. And he has some great ideas, and he also understands the instruments better. You can ask anyone we've ever had play baritone sax. I really like it to follow bass lines, which is great, except for the fact that they have to breathe, and I kind of neglected that for years. So so I'm learning. I have much to learn, but but even Kaylin, who again is 19, he co-wrote a track on the new record, and I think it's. Just to listen to it for me is, it's pretty inspiring to hear guys who are that young who have those kind of chops. Him and Patrick and Victoria and a lot of them, they're just some real talents.
Let's talk about the new record. How many tracks you got on it? Can you leak the name?
The name is still up for debate. It's got to get finalized soon. I think there's going to be 9 tracks, and yeah, it's pretty good. It's featuring, and it's great because I think there's 25 musicians on it in total. Right. We got Mr. D from the Salads, who I loved when I was a kid, and we got a whole string section and keys and all sorts of things, and our good friend and merch woman, Ashley Standish, also played piano on it as well, and she did a fantastic job. We actually give her a little interlude piece after one of the tunes, which I really like. And so yeah, it's been really nice, and I think it's the first time when all of us listen to a record that some people in the band have teared up listening to it, because it's the first record that really sounds like what we sound like live, and it's the first record where I was totally unscared. When you hear the last song of the record, you're gonna be like, "Whoa, this is very, very, very different."
And brave, is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, just like I'm no longer scared to write a song that sounds like maybe like a Lana Del Rey song or something like that. I just wanted, we just write the songs we write. And the real tricky part is picking a single, but I mean, those are good problems.
And
Great problems.
And it's almost like it's a time capsule too, right? These songs, I mean, it's like it's who you are as a man in a band and a group and a family right now. Who cares? And G and I were talking about this before you got here. Has Gary V kind of been an influence, and I don't give a fuck if seriousness.
Well,
Because
yeah.
it's, and G and I were just talking. Something stuck with me the other day. I get the whole, like, I don't want to say that because I'm afraid of what people will say about me. I've got some opinions that aren't popular right now, and I've gone from left to right. I'm more conservative now because these guys stand for free speech. But you can't say certain things without being called, a woman hater, a transphobe, blah, 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 blah. And Gary Vee got me to go, okay, yeah, wow. And when I look at where fear holds me back, it makes me sick. But what stuck with me that he said is it's not the fear of what other people are going to say. It's actually the lie that you've created about what they're going to say, because they never say that. So you're actually not acting out. You're not taking action because you believe something will happen, and that's actually a lie. And I just thought, wow, that's so powerful. So I wonder if that type of, I listen to him a little bit more than I have now, but he's really got me to a point, like, you actually care what other people think more than you care about, than you value your own life. And you're kind of, so I love that if that's a place that you're getting to, that you say, fuck it, this is who we are right now. If it sounds like whatever, so be it. It's just,
I have my saying is, and I am a Gary Vee fan, but my saying is, I only do my own inventory. You can worry about Jim's inventory, and G can worry about his inventory. And if you ask for my help, sure, I'll give my 2 cents. But we can only do our own inventory. We can only worry about the things that are important to us. And I think, when I sat in on this record, what I was really watching was, Jacob really go to new ground, and Sylvie to really go. I think Sylvie's on every track except for the intro track, and to be able to do the things that I think before we had concerns. We were, you're trying to worry about mass appeal. Well, that's not what we're about.
right.
What we're about is doing our show, and it's disingenuous to do anything but what you really want to do. And I think that in this instance, maybe, I think people will hear it, and I think they're going to hear, like, this is a really, a really wild record. I'm really excited for it. And our road manager, Kenny, really wanted to be on a track.
Kenny is always trying to get on.
He's always trying to do something. So
he looked like a cheerleader at times. I'm like, get this guy out.
We love him. We love having him out there. Yeah, he's our
Kenny Holt.
He's our hype
Shout
man.
out to Kenny Holt.
So Kenny, we had him. He asked me, he said, if there's anything I can do on the record, and I couldn't really think of anything, but we have this intro track. So we've been opening our shows with it for years, so we decided to finally record it, and I got him he's got a voiceover. So he's the first voice you hear on the Hurricane record.
Awesome.
I know.
That is such an honor. I was in Jay Beatty's studio a couple years ago, and K-Flip was bringing in some samples to scratch for the Head Heavy song. And he wasn't happy. We couldn't isolate anything. He had a couple ideas. Literally brought his ideas in on a napkin, like typical band musician, right? Comes into the studio. Doug Mundy was playing keys. He's a friend of mine, and he says, "I'm going to Beatty." We're having lunch. He's also a client of mine, so we're having lunch here. He says, "I'm going to Beatty's tomorrow. Lay down some tracks." I'm like, "Oh, cool. I've been meaning to get to Beatty's. You mind if I tag along?" So he says, no problem. So Beatty, hey, can I sit in on Monday's tracking session? He says, yeah. I got Monday at 5. I got K-Flip at 6. I got Pesh at 7. Like, you can hang around if you want. Anyway, when I got to K-Flip, he wasn't happy with the isolation that he was finding on the web. So he's like, well, why don't you have Jimmy go give us a Head Heavy, see how it sounds? So I went up to the mic, and Jay's like, give me a Head Heavy on the beat. Head heavy, give louder, angry. And they ended up, I got this, it's my vocal.
I did not know that.
It's a tight tune. It's not just the fact that I'm on it. And at the shows, K-Flip will laugh, and because when I was almost done, I gave a Head Heavy as a question. And he, how he stretches it out and puts the tempo down. It's like, Head Heavy? At the end of the show, it kills me every time, but what an honor to be.
Were you at the 10-year anniversary show?
I was not.
I missed it also. I was sad, and I had actually sent Kyle a message just saying congratulations, because 10 years of being a band is not easy, ever. And, it's tough. I was at their first show. I think it was opening for Morant's, or it was at Mansion House, but I do remember it. And, so it's neat, and I once got to drum for them. Actually, that Thorold show you were referencing earlier, it's the only time I've ever played with them, but it was fun. Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely drum less for people like I used to. I used to go on the road with people for, it was years and years I was playing for other people. And then somewhere around, I don't know, a year or two ago, I really decided that I think I have a different skill set that I would like to use. And also, I have a almost 5-year-old little girl who's the cutest. And, as you can imagine, you just want to be around. And it's important. It's important to be around. And we understand with Hurricane, and one of the greatest things that's happened with myself having Juno, my daughter, and Frank, who was here with Jacob, is that if we're going to do things, they need to be worthwhile. And that's it. If I feel a certain sense of responsibility that if I'm going to take Jacob away from his 2-year-old son to provide something that is of value. And, he's like me. We'll take a chance on a thing, but there's not too many chances. And if you're on a big giant road stretch, well, it's different. You can try a few things while you're out there, but I'm really cognizant of the things that are important to my bandmates. Sylvie needs certain things. Jacob needs certain things. The band, when they bring me an idea, if it's a great idea, I love a great idea. It's just tough because someone has to make the choice, for better or worse. And I don't always make the right choice. Hindsight is 20/20, but somebody has to make it, and that's the better way, because when you have too many ideas, you get analysis paralysis, and that's a problem. And so I talk a lot of times with bands about that. We need to figure out who's going to sign things. We need to figure out who is going to make some decisions. If not everyone agrees, how do we break a tie? Things like that. So it's interesting. I think naturally in interviews the question we inevitably get is, how in the hell do you do it? Well, I'm crazy. And I think whenever you see, I saw some little meme that said, success is made of incremental changes every day. And I work every day. Every day. I come up with an idea, or I make it, even if it's Christmas Day and just for a second you make a list of something, you think of something and you just put it in your calendar, so I'll do it. I just go to work. Just go to work. It's your job. And I admit that it's hard to have both time and money. I do admit that. That's tricky. But there are hours. I get people all the time. When do you find time to do it? I say there are hours unaccounted for in your day. Gary Vee says it best. Sleep 8 hours, work 8 hours, hang out with your family for 5 hours. There's hours left. There's a lot of time. So I'm not a particular time waster. This is my relaxing time right now. This is great. A show was just announced in BC on our page a few minutes ago. I'm drinking a cup of coffee. There's monogram towels. How bad can it be?
And I'm glad you brought up Theater Chris, because, it reminds me, I carry so much guilt because I can't make the 11 p.m. showtime anymore. Or listen, I can, but I choose not to.
Well,
and
that's
the Mansion House is my house. You know what I mean? I put my time in there. I've got some good connections and friends and friendships and relationships that are meaningful, but I just don't. I'm not supporting them like I used to be when I was there all the time. And 11 o'clock is late, man. You guys are still getting people out, but I appreciate it if you're doing a afternoon show or a 7 p.m.
Well, you'll notice we do a lot earlier shows than we used to, just for ourselves. In terms of just peak hours for a band like us. Mm-hmm. I remember there's one show we played. I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before. It was in BC, and I remember beforehand it was like 1 a.m, and we actually had slept before. And backstage, there's 10,000 people out front. And backstage, I remember the stage manager saying, "You guys are so quiet." and like one of the guys meditates, and the other guys are like playing on their phones. And I said, well, it's late, and but we just turn it on as soon as the doors open, and they push out my drum set, and they push out Coop's riser, and they start to, Kenny starts getting the lights going, and we have all this intro music. Then it's the Police Academy theme, which is awesome, which I really enjoy. And then it's great. Then it comes to you. But I do find it's harder. Like, I have a sweet spot in the night where I do my best work. And not to mention, as an agent, it's tough because you often settle up at like 3 a.m, and my mind is not at its full functioning capacity at 3 a.m. I actually answered a text to a promoter the other morning I hadn't slept in about 2 days just because there had been so much work, and I had answered a text from a promoter, and I looked back on it. He wrote me back saying, "What the hell are you talking about?" And it just made zero sense. So I think as adults we have to, we got to make some changes. We have to understand that it's okay if Jim Fannon can't come out for the opening band at 11. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you don't support the bands, you know?
No.
So
Right
no guilt involved.
It's interesting when I run and I talk to you, I've done a few shows at Sessions on the River. I think it's a great sounding facility. And if it's a band that's new and hasn't been in the studio, it provides them a chance to get something off the floor anyways that sounds good. It's got a liquor license. It's a recording studio. The acoustics are unbelievable, and it's very intimate because you're right close to them. And so we've done a couple like all-day marathons. The first one we started at 10 in the morning, went to 10 at night, and we did a band at every hour. Last one we started at 2 and went to 10, 11 o'clock. Band on the hour every hour. But the sweet spot in the night's like 8:30. 8:30, it's rammed in that place. So the closer is not, it might be the biggest act as far as name and recognition goes, but they don't have the sweet spots at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
7 o'clock even.
Well, it's funny for us. Our sweet spot is the way I pitch us to festivals is I say, put us on after the headliner, because I do know that, and a lot of times like we play with very varying headliners. Last year we did play and then Bruce Coburn to come on. So
yeah, are you fear that you're gonna like overshadow them?
It's not that. It's just that I think that one of the things that we provide, like those are legendary guys, so that's not a question. They'll hold up to that, of course. But what I mean is that it's just like there's a flow, and we're a natural period at the end of the sentence. Where it doesn't really seem to make more sense just to have like this huge party and then bring it back down. So a lot of times I pitch it like, you probably have a lot of younger people at your fest. This is their time. And it's been good. We have more younger people than we've ever had before. We just played in Guelph to, thousands. The cops had to shut it down because it was so crazy. And the sound guys were complaining to me because as the agent, I didn't ask for barrier at the front of the stage. And I said, well, that's not,
a new one, eh?
That's new for us, where it's like, okay, well, we're never trying to put people further from us. We usually, Jacob and Sylvia are sweating onto people and
encouraging them to come to the
yeah, but this, I hadn't been anticipating having quite so many people.
Private show or a festival?
No, just our show.
Oh, okay.
And it was great, and it was out in a field, and it was awesome. But, we weren't allowed to do an encore because, it had gotten wild. It's the only show we never sold a piece of merch at because the cops basically came in and that was that. But again, we got to go home early, so we were okay.
What time was the show?
I think it was at like 10. It was great, but they were ready to party. Like from note one, like when the intro music was on, they were dancing, and I was like, well, this is a good sign. So, and I always feel like Jacob has a real ability to appeal to an ad populum, like to a big mass. He knows how to, and I don't say control them, but he knows how to move them in the right way.
Whip them into a frenzy.
Well, there's a thing about, he can really just take the air and hold it and wait for the right moment. But we encouraged like one person to crowd surf and then there was like 40. And then it was just we lost control. So that I mean, and it can happen, and you see how like scary things can happen at fest. But it was we're very fortunate that those things are happening now, that we're learning on a bigger scale. And having said that, we'll still go to, you know, maybe in Saskatchewan we're playing to a 50 capacity room because it's still new. Whereas in BC we do exceptionally well. In Alberta we do very well. In the States we do very, very well. And the East Coast, you know, it's building and building, and Ontario is great. But, you know, Winnipeg, you know, we have to fight to get arrested. We're still like, we'll do a residency because it's like, it's work. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that you have a market that isn't slaying yet.
Well, that's a wide open opportunity for a band like Hurricane, because when you come to town, you should be the greatest thing that's come to town in 10 years almost.
Well, you know what though? I mean, for them, it was funny. The last time we played, we did 3 nights, and the nights after they were having a residency from Insane Clown Posse. So, you know, at this venue, and this venue has like Slayer, they have all sorts of acts. So we're really lucky that we get to play these big rooms, but they understand just like we do that, you know, there are markets and they're tough nuts to crack.
40 below is a tough nut.
and we're very fortunate to be able to go to the States. We just play Washington D.C. and it was sold out. You play, you know, West Virginia and it's sold out, and those things are really great. And you know, we have a lot more festivals. We're headed to Omaha and Idaho and like Nebraska, and I think we're working on some stuff in Wisconsin. There's all sorts of things, you know, and I think Minneapolis and Fargo are on this tour. We're still doing agent stuff, and now we have an American agent as well, so him and I are working in tandem. So it's a lot. There is just a lot of stuff, and I kind of like that maybe everyone in the band doesn't realize the amount of work I'm doing, because that's not their job. You know, they show their support by being there. They come on, they kick ass, they do their thing, and I really think it's important that people have other acts, that people are jamming with other people. You know, I see on their timelines that one of them's putting out a record or another guy's playing here, and I think, you know, it's great. It's so good that whenever one of them, you know, I send out a date, someone says, I can't do it, I have this act, that I can say, cool, and I move down the line and I grab another player.
Interesting.
And it's really nice because sometimes, you know, yeah, I mean,
I frown on it. I hate the moonlighting because I always see it as a threat to the unit. Like when Beatty was moonlighting with Mrs. J, and then he started up Miser Dally. Oh, I don't know who started up, but that Miser Dally was the funnest freaking band ever. And I'm like, dude, and he would play bass in Miser Dally, which I just love, a guitarist that is filthy on bass, and Jay's that way. And, you know, guys from X Prime back in the day, I'm like, I do not support moonlighting, man. You guys need to, like, because it's going to take away from the show, man.
No,
but,
I just, in my opinion, I disagree, because I think that they have itches to scratch. And I try to never have an emotional response. So, you know, even though I could really use them for a show, or I think it's a great opportunity, and they are telling me that they have an opportunity that is worth more value to them, I think it's important that if they know I'm going to be cool with it, they're much more likely to come back to me. Whereas if I'm like, no, you do this, that's tight. You know, that's tough. And there's times you got to take a hard line, of course, but we're just really lucky. Like even now, I just kind of sent them a thing saying, hey, summer tour's like 2 months long. What do you think? Some guys are like, in right now. And there's other guys who are like, I'm just going to have to kind of see how this, and I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Wow. And I will just, you know, I will deal with what I deal with. And, but the truth is, like, it's not really a hard sell to say, like, hey, let's go all over the place. We're going to go and play for great crowds, and you're going to have a super fun time. And, yeah, like, in Hurricane, like, I mean, I've toured with other bands who, like, there is no laughter.
Oh,
Hurricane is full-time laughter. Full-time, yeah, bagging on each other.
Sleeping
Sippis especially, and I feel bad for poor Sips, because, like, he's, like...
I didn't even recognize him on stage after he cut all his hair. I'm like, who's a... Oh, it's Sippis.
I think Sippis is a funny beast because he's, like, so sweet. He's such a sweet, caring guy, and for some reason, we love bagging on him. Like, it's just, I don't know what it is. Like, he's just like, but I think, much like a lot of the guys in the band, he realizes that's how we show our love, is like we hack on each other. And it's great. And same with, people ask, do you do that to the women in your band? And we're like, of course, they hang as great as any of the dudes. And it's quite a crew. We're just about to drop. We have like a tour documentary of. It wasn't from this year. Yeah. It's from 2017. So it's right before things blow up. Like it's just as things are going. Like we still have like smaller vehicles, and actually the Trailer G now has. And we just have like things are starting to get bigger. And so next year we'll have one showing how wild it's become. But it's great because we have all these backstage interviews with people who you'd like to hear from. What's
produced by the band.
Produced by the band. Like what is Mike Tuvey's producing it? But it's like what if what does Justin the trombone player say? How did he come into the mix? How did Vicky come in? And how did these other people, or what's Sylvie think? Because Sylvie doesn't speak a lot in media for us. Although I'm going to change that this year because
she is getting picked up here and there are people promoting the fact that she's like a woman front person.
Yeah, exactly. And she's, amazing at it and deserves it. And actually she was just in a big magazine, which was great. And I was getting a lot of people messaging us about it. I think she is I can understand why people are so interested. She's exceptionally educated, exceptionally intelligent, and then she's given it her all. And Sylvie, this is one thing I will say about Sylvie, and this is maybe, and obviously she's a great performer. She is a huge part of the business. She's like my partner in the business. But she did this thing last year, and we started doing school shows because, again, I believe really highly in mentorship.
Love those videos, man.
And Sylvie, I think we were in Windsor, somewhere like that, and she dances, kind of wild, and she was talking to these. I think they were probably grade 8s or grade 7 or 8s, these girls, and I think they were jokingly asking her about her dance moves or something, and she just said, I learned to not care what anyone thinks and to only be me. Wow. And it was just like,
powerful.
And I always talk about when people ask us about the school shows, I said, so more so than the instruments, we're bringing like some strong male and female role models. Like Sylvia is a person you could and should look up to as a young woman. It's someone who's, very well educated, very well spoken, has a great life and a great personality and sense of humor. And you have to, because when she first joined the band, I known Sylvie years ago, and she believes what she believes, and her and I will have it out, which is great. But I was like, oh geez, how's she gonna fit in with, we're so ball busty. And I think, instantly she just got into the fact that we were just like, no one is safe in that group. Nobody is safe.
Which is good too, because you don't want anyone to feel special either. Like, well, what do you mean? Well, why are you guys all nice around me when you're busting everyone else's balls?
No, we couldn't do it if we wanted to, and like we poor Patrick, who he loves jazz music. I think we made him listen to every Limp Bizkit record and Body Count and ICP till he was just like
awesome.
Yeah, stuff like that. So. Yeah, I think the young guys, we are always trying to, I think for me, I really want them to know that this is an unlikely success. And it's, maybe that's why I'm always looking out, and I'm looking at, there's Chris, he grew up in Thorold, and,
poor guy.
He's an only child, and there's Justin, he's from Toronto, and there's these guys, and they're from all over the place, and I think it's really neat that somehow we're all together. And that it is an unlikely success. And probably when they start to put their own groups together, they'll see like, wow, it is hard. It's hard to be a 3-piece band on the road where you're in one car with one hotel room and anything like that. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And that is why when people are asking me like, why are you always, checking in with bands or something? Because it's hard. It's tough. It's easy to get, down. This time of year, there's a lot of musicians who contact me because they know they should be reaching out to festivals. They don't know how. They need help. And that's why, again, I'm giving a talk at Mate, which is, it's like the business of music. And it's kind of like, I touch on a lot of things, but I really kind of like to open it up, and I keep it to small groups because, maybe this guy's putting out a record and he has some questions about that, and that will help everyone else. And I really like to open it if someone says, I have a touring question about the States. Great. As long as it's not about grant writing, because I don't know a damn thing about grant writing.
But call anyways.
Call Sylvie.
We'll set you
I
up.
don't know anything about it. Yeah.
How do you explain the success? And I'd like, I am not shy about claiming I've been on your jock since maybe not day one, but pretty early.
Pretty close. Pretty close. You're one of the OGs.
I like to think that I've got a good eye for talent, and I'm so proud to see groups like you, and even Roadways for that matter, that really taking another big step. And you guys were around for a long time. The album You Can't Do This was kind of a shot at, like, they told you couldn't do it, and why not? Then the references to My Son the Hurricane as like a Rage Against the Machine crossed with what's the Three Dog Night, or what is the horn section, or
I think I heard Muddy Boss Tones.
Yeah.
But you know what?
The last Smile was being compared to Portishead, or what was the song? That's one of my buddies is like, that.
That's cool.
And,
I love Portishead.
Yeah. What do you kind of chalk? I know you've done your diligence, the business end of it. You've done the tours. You're putting out a decent product. But how do you explain the recent? And you mentioned most people think you've only been around for a few years, so. There's no overnight successes. We get that. But can you point to a couple decisions or something that's put you over the edge, that's brought you to a point where now, you're getting paid some decent money. You're playing in front of 10,000 people sometimes. It's unbelievable.
It's really nice. When you take that kind of time, you start to, in my opinion, you're writing better songs. And we opened it up. We used to be really concerned about who was bringing what to the table, and now we opened it up. We want to use the talents of all of our people, and Sylvie and I work very, very hard to put the band in front of eyes, and I'm just not scared anymore. I developed a skill set that can help this group. I think that young people who want to intern for me are often shocked to find out that A, I don't have a business card, B, I don't have any computer skills. I don't really need those right at the moment. I do very well if that's getting music synced on TV, or that's, dealing with promoters or getting in those rooms. That's always been a strong point for me. So, I think there's that, and we financially put our money where our mouth is. Whenever this tour begins, we'll be in the hole, 30 grand or something like that. But it'll be, it'll recoup. It's because I own the record label. Normally what would happen is a record label makes you recoup before you get paid, or they'll give you enough to live on the road. So what would happen is we would probably have go out for 3 months, not see a dime, record label gets paid back, then you start to make your money. But in this case, I don't want that. I don't want the guys suffering. I want to pay them. They deserve to get paid. And sure, there are times when we're flying places and I'm like, this will pay a little bit less, and everyone understands. But that's what I want. I want it to be a working thing. We put our money where our mouth is. I'm just not scared. And I'm not scared to leave town limits. That to me is the real problem with a lot of groups, is you can become a Niagara superstar. And I don't just mean, and I don't mean just Niagara in general. I mean, it depends wherever you're from. It's hard to leave the nest at first. G can tell you, like you show up to Saskatoon on a Tuesday night. Well, guess what? You got, at first time, you got 7 people in that club that you got to keep there somehow, or you need to impress the bartender enough that they can't have you back.
She's good at that, probably.
Well, but it's an art, and it really is an art too. And not only doing that, but going to bed that night and still feeling good about yourself, and getting up the next day knowing that you got to drive 5 hours to Red Deer, and being okay with that. And if you are those, and imagine having 12 people behind you and crew and lighting rigs and risers and this big thing we have. I think, maybe I just have more balls than brains, but I think that I just, life is fleeting and life is short and life is about people, and we need to, I try to be good to my people and try to do something of legacy worth. If Hurricane fails, and eventually will fail, everything fails in the end. That's okay, because I left it out on that field. I died on that hill. Like that's the old Irish term is, will you die on this hill? And of course, you got to choose in your life the things that are very, very important to you. And some people, it's things in politics or things they strongly believe in. Other people, they have religion, things like that. For me, the thing that brings me joy is playing drums in a really obnoxious band and making people, like super happy, and then watching, and the other thing is, like, I kind of feel like a dad, because, it's like, if your kid hits a single in T-ball, you feel proud. And, I look out and I watch, like, girls getting their picture taken with Sylvie, or the young guys are, signing things for people. And I'm watching them use these talents that they have created. And I feel a sense of pride with that, even though, like, I wasn't the one who created them. I just say they deserve those moments. It's actually the same reason I'm taking away the drum solos out of our shows this year, because I no longer need it to be about me at all. It's, I am very happy to let these guys show you what they can do, and, like, let them have the light on them. It can be a little darker at the back of the stage. I'm getting long in the tooth anyways. So it's
we love the drum solos, and you know what? I also love it when and I'd love for you to expand on the fear and the difference of what it was specifically and how you overcome it, and what a difference it made for you. But I love it when you get out from behind the drum kit. I saw you L3 when Ash Boussault from USS showed up. I don't think I even understood that he was going to be there that night. Maybe that was top secret. I had my niece with me.
Ash from USS. Yeah,
and then to see you get out from behind the kit and rap one. I think we've got one on the Rock Our Town YouTube channel where it's an old show and you come up and rap a tune and you're like, this will never be done again, okay? So here I go.
Yeah, I remember saying, actually I remember that show in particular, because that was before Sylvie, because Ash had done the vocals on that track. And I think there's been quite a few of us who have sang it over time. But obviously 1/15th as good as Ash or Sylvie. But I did it once, and I remember getting out there, or actually I did it a few times. I remember saying to Abe, who was playing guitar at the time, I looked at him and said, oh my God, they can see my body. And I'm exceptionally tall. I'm almost 6'5". So to own your height as a front man, I didn't have like dreams of being a front man, so I never like worked on my stage moves in front of the mirror. So I was mostly had like hairbrushes I was air drumming with. So to be out there, I really wasn't sure what to do with myself. So but yeah, it was really fun, and I think that we will still try some stuff and do some fun things like that. But compared to Jacob and Sylvie, to have front people like that, it's just it's really it's just such an amazing thing. And actually Jacob was sick once on tour, like very, very, very ill, and I can't remember, he had a fever, and he couldn't do a show, and Sylvie had to do it. And she rapped like the whole show. She, I think we figured out which tunes. Yeah. I think we like threw in an Amy Winehouse tune as well, just to like, so she wasn't thinking the whole time. I just remember calling her at 8 a.m. and saying, "We're in a bit of a situation." Oh, no. She's like, "All right, give me the day." Yeah. If someone had called me and said, "Hey, you have to rap Jacob's parts," I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm canceling this show. This is gonna be bad." But she is great. And
how did you? Was it a natural division? Because I think sometimes I hear in a song, I'm like, "Wait, so Sylvie's doing that song tonight?" So there's obvious parts that are built and designed for Jacob. Sylvia seems, maybe I'm wrong, but she seems to be taking over a little bit more of that. But like she rapped on.
Well, she can rap, right? So that's one of the nice things. So she raps on Pigeon Park. She raps on a new tune called Casserole. And she, and so what ended up happening was there's a few tunes like Smoke and Mirrors and Sullivan where it was all Jacob. And there really was no chorus.
Sullivan, still love that tune.
Yeah, it's, I don't really know what to do with that tune this year. I'm still figuring it out. But
old school, but just such a So
yeah, well, it was
our
basically our intro tune this year. We have like this Millhouse tune we always open with, and then we go into Sullivan always. But I'm not sure what we're going to do this year. But yeah, so we would give it to Sylvie because we realized that we were doing like a song or two until she even said anything. That seemed really silly.
Yeah,
and Jacob, if he can breathe more, that's less vomit. That's a win. Yeah, that's a win no matter how you look at it. Yeah.
So is it just a natural?
I think it's just natural progression where maybe Jacob just asked, "What do you think of doing this one?" or stuff like that. And there were still tunes where, if someone, we would never be against the idea that maybe we have a tune that doesn't have Jacob on it, or maybe we have a tune that doesn't have Sylvia on it. Like that's not the thing if that's not what the tune calls for. Luckily on this new record, it was just there's one instrumental and 8 bangers. But the last tune, is mostly like keys, strings, a super Bon Jovi-ish guitar solo. So Bon Jovi. You'll know it when you hear it. It's like...
You gonna give us anything to leak?
Oh, no. I don't have it yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't have it to leak, even if I could. But it...
Gotta get better people on the inside, man.
Yeah. You're gonna have to work on that. I'm tough as nails. You gotta be good. And it's not going to be too long. We are still figuring out with our publicist what the release day is. But it's because there's a lot to put out a record. You can just like show up and like drop a record on a day technically. But because we deal with like publicists and management teams and all this stuff and lawyers and shit, like it's crazy. If you actually saw what our crew is now and the day-to-day, because we have co-management, and so there's all these people who, like, I get this vinyl, which is great, but I do like to, have better ideas. So if someone says, I think you should run your pre-sale like this, or you should consider that, or make sure you have these things before you set the date. Okay. It's just, it is a lot. I can understand why no one does it. I'm going to crack into my near beer here.
It's too early even to drink non. Oh, it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Hour flew by. I'm so interested to get you to expand on the fear, and you've said a number of times now, I'm just not scared. I'm just not scared anymore. And I wonder what it was, and how you overcame it, and what the impact of overcoming it was.
Well,
is it a certain voice in your head that says you suck, or care about what other people think?
Well, before I think it was a lot of this thing, which was it's not there yet.
If that was the voice, that was the scripture. Somebody's saying to you, "You're not there yet."
No, like in my head, I was saying, you're just not there yet. Or, you would see another. There is this thing that happens when you see a band that blows your mind. There's this thing where you're just like,
insecurity sets in.
Holy shit! They figured out their thing.
Oh, okay.
And they like are owning it. And I always felt like we were good, but we did not have that yet. Oh. And And again, I said, like I was saying, somewhere around 2016, right as it was about to start moving towards the fast lane, and like this year, obviously, we just geared down. But awesome. I think there was just fear that we weren't there yet, and I saw the Pocket Dwellers when I was like, I don't know, 18 or 19, and they like ruined me because I saw this band that was so much better than I could ever imagine. And we since got Nigel on track. He was on Pushing Up Daisies from Pocket Dwellers, and we've played with them.
Great vocal.
And
that's the one that started it all, no? I think that's how McConnell says, and this one, every time he's introducing Bergsman, that's Daisies comes up. He's like, and this is the one that started it all. But was it that or Not My Style?
Ain't My Style was the first tune, but I think Daisies really... It changed things.
Great video, too.
Great video.
And great vocal on his part. What's his name again?
That's Nigel Williams. And we were really fortunate to... I like that tune. Actually, when we had Drifter out with us, because Drifter would...
What a talent.
He was out in...
He's on your label, too, right?
I do some booking for him.
Okay.
He's not a signee, but he's... I do some agency work for him. And I think I'll probably end
What a
up...
voice.
Yeah, it's...
Beautiful written music, too. It's so Wow.
Yeah, the dude's
Engaging.
kind of like drinking hot chocolate.
Oh.
You know, it just feels right.
And don't get that dude to open for you if your vocals aren't on point, because he'll outshout.
Yeah, I know. He is amazing. And what's great is, what I really love about Oscar is that we've had him open for us in Edmonton, Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, like all over the place. And sometimes, like, we're talking serious crowds. And he's got him.
Yeah.
He's got him. And, and I'll say this, I have a really quick funny story with Oscar. And our worst show of the year was in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. And it was actually relatively well attended. There was just like a lot of things that were going wrong, especially with sound. And he was about to start, and the sound man yelled out, "You know you don't have a monitor." And Oscar just said, "Good. I don't want a monitor." That's when I started laughing. I'm like, "You're one of us, man. Thank you for rolling with the punches," because there's just nothing you can do.
Got a song called "Rolling with the Punches,"
and
too.
We got a song called that. We never play that song live anymore, but yeah.
No,
I love that tune. We just can't pull it off live.
Okay.
It's a hard tune. Unless you have like a full trumpet section, that is a hard tune to pull off.
Oh, okay.
It always sounded thin live.
Right.
I'd love to bring back Long Hair's Lament, but I just don't know where the hell I'd ever throw that in a set.
Vicious tune.
I love
man.
that tune.
And the drum track on that is killer.
I think that's the reason I want to bring it back. It's just the problem is, it's like when you have a night of bangers, you can get away with Daisies and you can get away with Smile. And we have another slow tune on the record. You throw in Long Hair, people are starting to like get a little dreamy.
Oh, right. So cool. The fear, or what, I guess I'm not scared anymore, is conquering you're not there yet. And then the impact of overcoming that fear is just, do you think it's the success, or is creative outlet, trying something new, or?
Well, I think it's just realizing that we had taken a year off when I had a kid. In 2014, we had kind of I don't want to say kind of a legal issue in 2013. And I said, you know what, I think I'm done with this. And Nelson, who I'd started the band with, he had moved away. So when we came back, Nelson was in for a little bit. And I kind of realized that, wow, this really does have a chance. And I kept like having nightmares that if I didn't really do something with this, I was really going to regret it. Wow. And as soon as I started to really like invest and learn and like work it every day like it's my job, take less money from other things, I was like, no, I'm not going to have a job. I'm just going to work this because I can't have both time and money. And I said, but I'm going to use that time, like really use it. So I do it, just like head down, and like all day there's stuff coming in. I am scared to look at this phone when this is done because it's not going to be pretty. The email will be full again. There's going to be messages. There's stuff like that. But this is good. This is actually, I like this. This has forced me to ignore that, But yeah, so, and eventually...
So you're the firefighter. You're the guy at the top. You're the CEO that's responsible for everything. If it fails, it's on you, and you deal with problems all day mostly.
The goal is this. When it's a failure, it should fall on me. When it's a win, everyone should feel it. That's how it is. That's the glory and the detriment of this thing is, if it fails, you have to eat that failure. But what I found at first that was harder was when Nelson left, and the successes, I didn't feel like I really had anyone to share it with. And it has since kind of grown, and it started to feel a lot more family-like again. So it's great. And again, I just started being like, I'm just going to do my inventory. And if it fails, fine, let it fail. I'm sober. I have a family. I have a, wonderful kiddo, and I have this, and I did this thing.
Cute, that
and
video.
I end up with like, I've got all these CDs. Like every other band I've ever been in has like boxes of like thousands of CDs in their basement. Like, we actually sell those.
Yeah.
Good old Press Time Designs, by the way. Like, we're doing somewhere like we're getting like $10,000 or $20,000 worth of shirts a year. Like, it's a lot. We pay more in HST now than we used to make in like our first 5 years. Oh God, that's painful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone loves paying the taxes and doing the paperwork on that. I'm interested in how you refer to if it fails. I mean, I guess you define failure as the band not doing what it's doing right now, but if it stopped today, I would consider it a huge success. Now, obviously, if it's not continuing, that there's something, we want it to continue forever. But everything up until this point doesn't make that a failure. It just means, you're not doing new stuff, which, would be sad for us all. But
yeah, it's about scratching those itches. If you originally set out and you have such small goals, it'd be nice to play a show at L3. It'd be nice to open for some bands we like. It'd be nice to record an EP. Then it'd be nice to record an album and do some videos, and then maybe do a tour, and maybe we can go as far as Fredericton, and then, all of a sudden, and then it's everywhere. Well, I guess we can go to the States now. I guess we can start flying places now. I guess we can buy a bunch of vehicles. I guess we can buy all these things. I guess we have lighting racks. I guess we need to, techs on tour. I guess we need to put the techs on the visa. I guess we have a lawyer and an accountant and this person and co-management through a huge agency, and now a giant U.S. booking agent. It's like, okay, and I like that it's built, but eventually, if we want to call it quits, it's because you've done a lot, and you're really
run
happy
its course.
with it. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right now, we know it's not run its course. Mm-hmm. We know that right now. It's like when we recorded this at Jacasa Studios, and they've done like Alexis on Fire and July Talk. They were like high-fiving, saying, "We have a hit record again. Thank God."
Really?
And I don't expect, and when I say that, I don't expect it to be on the radio. What I expect that to mean, though, is that we're going to sell a lot of them, and it's going to get to a lot of people, and I believe it'll do well. I'm not freaked out. I don't know. I just like
you're in a good place.
I just like we're doing it right,
mm-hmm.
and and there's something about, and G can tell you this is the worst thing ever. When you record music and it's good, it sucks not putting it out. It's pain. I find it's pain. I've got tunes I love. Can I hear it? No. It's the worst. And then you gotta wait, because if you're gonna do it, in my opinion, for us, we're gonna have to do it right. And we know how to now. There's a long time we didn't know how the hell to put out a record. It's just like one day it shows up. Hey, look, we have this. That's another reason why I give these talks and do consults, because it's nobody's fault if they don't know how. How the hell would you know? It's difficult stuff, man. It's so difficult. It's just so difficult. And when I got sober almost 5 years ago, I was just like, I am going to spend some time helping. I really am going to take some of that time when instead of working, instead of relaxing, because I'm not really a relaxer, I'm not like a Netflixer per se. I want to help. So when people are coming to music school, can you help with this? Can you talk to my class? Can you do these things? Yeah, I can. Or if we're having these big seminars, well, yeah, let's keep it like $10 or $15. Let's get someone who's maybe not sure if they want to play music into this thing. I think that's good. It's important stuff.
Some people came on. Long in the tooth, Ashley says she must have liked that comment. Oh, and then the girl you bought your house from is joined. Kim Mitchell, we call her now.
Is she a Mitchell now?
She is a married Mitchell McLaren. Kirby, first booked. What's he saying here? First come, first booked. Equals my moonlighting motto. Only way to be fair to everyone. But he's kind of like a journeyman himself.
Who's that?
Being the DJ, Kirby.
Yeah.
K-Flip.
Well, there's something about, if they, I think moonlighting is fine. And furthermore, if someone could pay you more, get paid, man.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, for years, I think it was one of the reasons I had such resentment to some of the groups I was performing with, was because I know I should have been doing it with Hurricane, and I was doing it with them, and I was advancing their career, and while I had to wait to get home to do Hurricane.
Right, so no more laying on the couch in Nashville.
Yeah.
Waiting to be called into the session.
Yeah.
Because the drummer shit the bed, and you had to cover the track. I love that story.
Yeah,
I love that story. Well, basically, this is what I do. I got a room in Nashville. I lay on the couch watching TV all day until I get the producer that calls and says, okay, stand by. The drummer shit in the bed, let you know. Oh, he pulled it out. Okay, great. Oh, you better get down here and save his ass. And then you have to break it to him. Listen, bro, I know your credit. You're still going to be on the album. but your drumming won't be.
Well, I
Like,
I
seriously, that's how it goes?
never had to break it to him. I would always just do what I used to do was, which I thought was the nice move, was that, you know, I would say, listen, go sit on that drum set before we tear it down. Get some pictures. Don't tell anyone it was me, and do that. If you think I want to be on this pop punk record, you're wrong. You know, I'm just here for my paycheck, man. So it was good.
I have no concept, or I had no concept before that then, that it could be a Rolling Stones track. That what they brought in a guest drummer because the drummer couldn't handle that track. Like this is common, and there's no credit on the album.
Probably not a Stones track, but
Okay.
I mean, I think in those early stages of bands, there's a lot of bands doing demos and stuff like that. Like even the Doors, like you don't know who's drumming on half those tracks.
Really?
So yeah, they had session guys. Wow. So that's it. I mean, there's a reason session work is not what it used to be. Like they used to, like guys were like making great livings. But I think it was another one of the reasons I wanted to get out of there. There's never any windows in a recording studio. You know, you're stuck inside all day. But yeah, it's a vacuous field, it feels like sometimes. And I was, you know, some of these, you know, kids who I was replacing, you know, this was their shot. And I just didn't really want to do that sort of thing anymore. And it was also taking time away from doing hurricane stuff. Like I got work to do.
Yeah,
I got things to do. And if I'm, you know, also I want to be home. I have this little girl. She wants to go see Santa and ride on a Santa Claus
the
train,
greatest
which
video everywhere.
And
I was so glad that I could share it yesterday because she is so cute. She's like, oh my goodness! I had to listen to it a few times to get what she was saying because she's 5 and doesn't speak all that well. Well, she speaks great, but she's a kid and it's hard to understand, especially when she's screaming. And then, hi, mommy, coming around the corner. And then I realized, were you at the Fairview Mall?
At the Penn Center.
Is that where it is?
Yeah, the Penn Center. It's
because since then I've had offers to take me on the train.
Jim,
you want to go on ride on Santa's train?
I'm going to tell you this about that train. They were having a good laugh trying to fold my body into that thing.
You looked actually legitimately frightened when the thing started.
I will tell you this. I am not. Jacob and I have something in common. We do not like rides.
Oh, I hate them too.
I am not into them, and I think, you know, and even that thing, obviously, there's nothing to it. But, like, it's uncomfortable. My head was touching the ceiling, you know. My knees were pushing the front of it. I was like, oh, God, here we go. But, yeah, again, you want to be home for that sort of stuff. So that's, again, where the agent work comes in. It's great. So I can be working at booking Hurricane, and while I'm waiting for some of that stuff to come back, I am booking, you know, I booked Katie Gatta some shows, and I booked Drifter a bunch of shows, and I booked, you know, I'm booking the Human Rights for their tour, the reggae band, and just a bunch of acts, you know. So, and I was at Coalition Music. They have a CMI program, it's called, that basically is like agent management training. And I did that this year, which was great because, you know, like I've always been pretty knowledgeable about the stuff, but I went in there and there was like so much.
You didn't know what you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. And even just refining that because things are changing, and it was great. And, you know, Liam, who is the management of USS and Tea Party, right, he was like one of the instructors, and Val, who worked at Sony for years. It was really, really amazing stuff. And it's funny, the first day, this guy sits down beside me and he said, oh, I'm from Edmonton. I was like, oh, that's great. I've actually booked a bunch of shows through Daniel Lenz. He's like, oh, that's me. And I was like, oh, hi. He's like, you're Danno then. I said, yeah. And it was just funny. And I was like, wow, you're like the guy, you know. And the girl beside me books the Calgary Stampede. And,
she was,
you know,
the girl.
And it was just like, oh, okay, we've all spoken in this group. And then this other woman came in and she's like, oh, I booked you for in New Brunswick at Folly Fest. I was like, oh, right. And so there's a real there's not a lot of people who want to do. Oscar said it best one day. He's like, there's too many of me and not enough guys like you to book us. And I think, you know, it's wrong too, because he's doing very well on his own. But it's tough. Like there's a lot of people in my profession too who are trying to take people's money. And I don't want your money if I can't provide a service that is worth something for you, because I know what that's like. You know, it's like the supernova effect or sonic bids or any of the things that I think are not maybe worth their money. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to be on the straight and narrow, make a living, and not be a corrupt slime ball about it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Integrity's a very valuable trait.
It's worth something.
How many silos do you think you're operating in now? Like, how many hats do you wearing? You got, obviously, you're the business end with some help, a lot of help for the Mice on the Hurricane. But now you've got the label, which just talk to me about the different silos and what they actually entail. Obviously, the band speaks for itself.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, there's the band and the drumming, and then there's there's like management. So we have co-management. So it means that I do most of everything in terms of like hiring new people into the group. Like I deal with our lawyers and I deal with our accountants, and I do all the books. So I do all the books. I handle all the money. I'm the business manager. So I have that. I also own the label, which means I own our master recordings, which means that I inherit the debt. If Jacob and Sylvie die in a plane crash tomorrow, that debt is mine and mine only, no one else's. I work with the syncing. Syncing is when you get music on TV or radio. Well, TV generally, or movies or things like that. And you deal with what's called music supervisors.
Commercial applications.
There's lots of different ones. So there's that. I was dealing with Stingray Music this morning. They're the ones who have those channels on TV that...
love Stingray.
Yeah.
902 is my channel.
Right.
Alternative rock.
Yes.
Adult alternative rock, I think.
So there's that.
I've discovered more music on channel 902 on Bell 5 than I have almost anywhere lately.
Right. Stuff like that. I deal with the radio trackers, Spotify trackers. As the label owner, you're responsible for a lot of different things. You're responsible for handing out royalties, so if somebody is a co-writer on a song, I owe them a mechanical royalty. There's all sorts of math to figure out. I do all the tour booking, I do all the hotel booking, I do all the advancing. Generally, agents don't do advancing. Advancing just means things like if I book G a show, after the money is set, I give him the promoter's email, and they hash out when they show up, who needs a bass amp, etc. With Hurricane, I do everything. I create these like long lists. We call them the tour readers. And I like them because it also shows what I've forgotten to do. I have that. I take care of like just even the physical things, like our trailer that lives in a lot for 3 months, all that stuff. I work on some of the editing stuff with the video guys. I write all the set lists. I take care of a lot of the publishing stuff. Sylvie does all the grant writing, which is great. And so when we have a meeting, it'll be generally Jacob, Sylvie, and I, and she'll bring in like the minutes. She'll be like, "What do you think of this?" I'm like, "I hate that. This is good. This is good. This is good." And yeah, like whenever I say this, I don't want it to sound like it's egotistical. And because other people in the group have skill sets sometimes that are better than I have at a lot of the things I do. So for instance, like just general computer skills. But I know that if I do that, I'm not bothering them, and that it's going to get done. And I think that democracy is I am empathetic, but we are not democratic. That is the difference. I will listen, and I'm interested, and given, I like to think I'm an intelligent person, given better options, I will take better options always. Guys will come to me, or they'll say, the merch setup, I've noticed this. What do you think we should do? I say that all the time. What thoughts? Thought if we did this. Okay.
Because most of the time when they're coming to you with a complaint, they have a solution.
I love a solution.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so pig-headed, I won't take a solution, and but I love a solution. Sometimes we don't have one. It's it's a lot.
Pesci says Sonic Birds is garbage for sure.
Yeah, it's the worst. Yeah, it's just totally, and yeah, it's and you got to watch out. Management and things like that, people like that, they can take advantage of people, because I have a real anger towards people who take advantage of people wanting to be stars or wanting to have a career. I've been asked a lot of times, can you come to this so you can be our industry person there? No, because I'm not in the business of signing anyone. I have too many fucking things to do, and I don't want anyone to think that they hand me their demo that I'm going to change their life. I'm not going to change their life. I'm too busy paying my phone bill, trying to, booking this so that I can live, so that hurricane goes on, so I can pay everyone in hurricane. I just saw what I paid out for the year. God. Yeah. The biz.
And who you hot on these days? And not just who you've got signed. Let's talk about who you've got signed and you're promoting and booking for, and that you're really hot. But I love Theatre Crispin introduced me to Gin, and they have just completely blown my mind for a young three-piece. And I never say young because it doesn't matter. They're just a good band. Yeah. But
I've heard them.
The three-piece, they sound so much fuller than a three-piece. Like, I just can't. They're fat with sound, and when I told Nicole that, she's like, "Oh, dude, thanks." I'm like, "Why? Is that a compliment?" She goes, "Oh yeah, for a three-piece, you want to sound full."
Yeah, and they I always, the three-piece gig, that's a tough gig, but it's also an amazing gig because like that band right now, I could book them everywhere. It's like you can make way less money and do way more because of that.
Why?
Because there's there's less mouths to feed. You need one room, you need one vehicle, you need so little infrastructure to create something. And that's,
even between a 4 or 5 piece, then it gets more complicated.
Yeah, once you start getting a 5, it can be tricky. You do need a bigger vehicle. You need some extra things, or it just depends like what kind of people you are. Some bands camp. Those bands are smart. It's not me. At a big festival, if they say, "Can you camp?" I say, "No." There's probably people in the band who would. I'm not that man.
Oh, I remember Fire Lane 11A, man. If you weren't camping, it sure was looking like some of the guys were.
Oh,
that's
Pete Stock?
Yeah.
Well, I luckily live down the street from Fire Lane, so that was not an issue for me. Actually, I think I was in Boston at that time, and I think Cooper was drumming. But that's the art. And Vegas Funeral, I generally just have, Hurricane's my main thing, and I run. I'm not putting out anyone else's records. I'll just do agency work for them, so people can hire me, things like that. If I have the time, a lot of times I just say, call me if you get stuck. If you can't do something, or right now I'll do festival outreach because this is the time of year where people need to apply to fests, and they just don't know what the hell they're doing. Mm-hmm. It's fair. It's hard. It sucks. It's like a lot of work. And, I just spent a lot of time with the band last week just getting all of their assets together so it looks like something. They're like, "I got this stuff. I don't know what to do." So we made it work, and that's good. And so, in Katie Gata, it's good. I think, we got her, hopefully, an audition at Mariposa and some other stuff. And I'm going to Folk Alliance. I got a scholarship today, I found out, for Folk Alliance. So I'll be for agent work. It's like a big, giant, industry event for folk artists in Montreal in February. So I'm going there. So that's nice.
Cool. That's G cracking his knuckles on the Facebook feed if you need him. You're standing right beside the mic. Crapping on my personal support over here. As Danno takes one of his final sips of Grolsch.
That's rough.
Dude, that one time we met out front of my office in the Lake Street Mall.
Oh, yeah.
That's Entertainment Plaza. You're coming out of Tim's. I started drinking coffee, by the way, after 20 some odd years off of it, and quite enjoying it. But I think you were coming up on a year sobriety or something. Yeah.
Jeez,
and then that's a private struggle, I think. And I don't know if you started it that way when you decide to quit, but you've been pretty open about it since. And I think that's especially for a man, I know it sounds sexist, but especially for a man to make himself or avail himself to the vulnerability of like, hey, I was fucked up. I was in a bad place, and I'm winning now. And so maybe when you first quit, you don't want to tell anyone. I don't know. Maybe you need the whole community to know because you need them to keep you accountable. But
yeah, it's Park Avenue or Park Bench. It doesn't care, right? It doesn't care who you are. And yeah, it is a tough game. It is a tough game. And when I got sober, I had to, for my health, for the fact that I I remember I had, for the first 4 months my daughter was alive, I was still drinking like excessively hard. And and I had not felt any real big connection. And then like one day I came in the room and she was like, "He's here, sweet, he's here." And I was like, "Oh my God, you need to get this together." And I remember that weekend I was in New Hampshire. I was almost actually in an accident that almost killed me and someone else. And I had realized that was it. That was that. And I remember saying to Fraser, who was the bass player, that I'm done. And he had just said, "Okay," kind of like, your words are worthless. And
really?
that's...
You felt that right at the time?
That's what I felt like. And I understood. I understand why my words are worthless to you. Of course they are. Any true addict is probably a liar to get what they need. And I got sober, and I was gonna keep it to myself, and then I realized that I made one post about, I think it was 6 months sober or something, and the people were starting to come. They needed help too, and at first I would tell them, I'm holding on by a thread. Like, I don't know. I was mad. I was mad that I was sober. It's like, why can you drink and I can't drink? Now I don't care at all. Now it's like, okay, well, I can understand there's times when I need to remove myself from a situation because it's tough. Like, it's 95% of the time it's great, but every once in a while...
Tough to say no, you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, sometimes, when I find it's hard is like the times when you're supposed to drink. Like,
in celebration?
Yeah, like, like Christmas, like people have some drinks,
or have a shot with us,
or New Year's or St. Pat's or whatever. Like, parts where, like, like if you saw someone drunk, it wouldn't be weird. If you're, like a festival downtown, and you're all ripped up, well, it wouldn't be that weird. It's like everyone's partying. But the one I really miss is I just miss, like, there's like just like a general camaraderie to like having a beer on like a Sunday afternoon. But you lose some friends that way, because like there are some people you realize you only have a relationship with because there's drinking involved, and it's no one's fault. You don't know how to like deal with it, and that's okay. And I'm okay being sober. I like it. It's different. I feel like I've helped a lot of people. I can't help them all. My job is not to save people. My job is to deliver the message, and I will deliver the message. And I have work to do. I have I got to keep myself accountable. It's not easy. It's not. Anytime I hear someone is trying to get sober, I think, geez, you gotta, it's going to be a road, but it might be a better road. For me, it was a better road. For me, right. It seemed to work out. I like it. I like that whenever I'm in at night and it's like 9 o'clock, I'm not thinking, I got to go. I got to get out. For what reason?
So what was your main vice?
Yeah, booze. Yeah, booze was like, I did some drugs too, but that wasn't really my deal. But yeah, booze. Love booze. And it's great because it's like it's everywhere and it's easy. And the other thing was, as a musician, I never really paid for booze. It's like on the house, or it's really cheap. And I was playing like these house gigs, and I never drank and drive. I wasn't that guy. I was like, oh, this was good. But then, the pursuit, that's a lot. There's like a lot of pursuing and a lot of recovering. And I'm happy to be past that. I'm not sad that I drank how I drank. Like, I'm not sad that I drank. I'm just glad that it's done. You had to, like, there was a time when it was like, this is a problem. And right. people are going to have to talk, people are talking to me, whether it's band leaders or friends. And then I started, because at first you're like emotional. I don't like really being emotional, but you're emotional that they would talk to you about your problem. And then you start to realize that, man, they probably don't want to have this talk. They're probably dreading having this talk with me, and it must be that important that they're having this talk with me. And so, yeah, I remember detoxing out, and, that was a rough time. I look back on now and kind of laugh and just say, oh, geez, I didn't know what I was in for. I didn't know what it was, like a 90-day. It was real bad news for about 90 days. And then, one day it was just like a little bit of light came in. And I was like, maybe I should go do something. And then I started realizing that, for years, all you've been doing is thinking about yourself. Now it's time to help some people, whether they have anything to give you or not. And, I try to do that, whether it's drinking or whether it's giving someone a ride somewhere or doing something, or, I think musically it's usually the thing. Like, if you want a console, yeah, it's going to cost you a few bucks. But if you want to, like, just talk, let's grab a cup of coffee and shoot the shit.
So the alcohol was the actual issue. It wasn't so much the gateway into, because, I know so many people that quit alcohol because it puts them in a very bad decision-making place, and then it leads to more of a party that could go on for days, and without the alcohol, that bad decision just doesn't get made. So they quit the alcohol because of the path it leads them to. But you just struggle with the free booze and the everyday drinker.
Oh yeah, and
whether you're performing or not, you drink at home. Oh
yeah, I remember it being like 9 a.m. in Vegas and drinking, and I'm like, oh my god, and because one of the things is that you don't know about tour, because tour gets this amazing light. People think tour is glorious. Tour is a lot of like continental breakfasts and a lot of like being fucking tired and being lonely and missing someone and missing. And when I say missing someone, it could be your significant other, but it can be like you see, Theater Christmas having that 10th anniversary show. I would like to go to that. I can't. Or there's a lot going on, and you do it because you believe it's important, but it is not. Sometimes it's better now these days. It's much better for us. But there's still like, well, if we're going to do this, it's 11 hours, or you're going to drive home from Halifax. I don't suggest that. But, there's all those things. And, we're lucky because we're, like, flying and doing things more, and it's great. But it's not always that way. And that's another reason, like, people drink. Because they're like, man, my kid's at home, or my girlfriend's at home, or you're worrying, or you're just like, man, I'm missing another birthday. Because this show is great. And I have to do this show, and it's important, but it's also in Alberta. So if I'm going to go to Alberta, I'm missing at least a week and a half. I'm missing 2 weeks. And yeah, it's just like a lot. So that's all. That's what I think that had a big part of it for me. It's like, I'm in a different country. Awesome. I'm playing drums for a living. I'm getting paid a ton of loot. Time to party.
You do much mentoring in that department, the sobriety coach ever?
Oh, well, yeah, I don't want to be anyone's sponsor, but sure. I get a lot of people who message me, and that's why every year I make an announcement. And I had a friend of mine.
On your anniversary of sobriety?
Yeah, on September 21st every year I do.
Oh, and before my birthday.
There you go. And a good friend of mine who will remain nameless, he was the partier of partiers. When I was a kid, we learned to party from him. He was wild. He toured for years, did all this crazy shit. And he got sober, and I was much more heavy-handed than I've ever been with someone in terms of telling them to announce that. And I said, the reason is, I think you should say something, is that if you can do it, and I said, you are like the poster boy. You are known as a drinker. If you show that you're a year sober, that you have gotten healthy, that you have put your life together again, when things were going, like the world could see it was not going to be like that. Said, I think it's a good move, and he did. And I don't know if people ever reach out to him, but maybe they do. And again, it's not all the time, but sometimes I just bang, get a message from someone, a friend request, you accept, and someone says, hey man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm gonna lose my kids if I don't smarten up. Why am I still doing this? I'm like, well, because you don't have control anymore. That's it, man. That's why. I get that, so.
Kirby got sober on the same day. He says, weird.
Get out of here.
Yeah, September 21st. Same day I got sober. I wonder how long it's been for him. Thanks for hanging in, K-Flip.
Wow. Good for him. Congratulations, John. That's awesome. It's an art. And I think, what's awesome is I have a lot of friends who are like, do you mind if I drink or anything? No, I don't mind at all.
In fact, I insist. Don't be different. Don't treat me special.
Yeah,
don't stop having fun
as long as you don't get
presence.
On my case. I think the funniest one was I was at the merch last year, and I never go there anymore because again, you just stick out of those spots. And there was
that was your drinking place, eh?
Yeah, it was one of my watering holes. And this guy was talking about how he's like, "Come on, just have a drink. You're way behind." The bartender, who I know, just said, "You don't know Danno. If you really knew him, you'd know you're way behind. You got some catching up to do." And I thought that was really funny. I was like, "Oh yeah, man. I can't be bullied into it. And people still bring shots up on stage, and I like, cheers. And I like put it down beside the hi-hat stand, and then
somebody else will get it.
I like push it over to Cooper, and he's happy to have it. Coop will take care of it. Coop's young. He needs loot. He's happy to. He'll take that shot. That's what I always do too. I get the drink tickets, and I always laugh because everyone knows that I get drink tickets too. We get this like big roll, and I hand them out, and at the end of the night, guys are kind of, I can see them. They kind of like, you got any tickets? Hey, Danno, is there any tickets left? And so I'm always like, well, I don't know. See, that big hardware box hasn't gone out to the trailer yet.
Could have something to do with you.
If I move your box, can I have those 2 tickets? Maybe. So yeah. I mean, it's great. I like it too. I buy beers for people. Hey, you want a drink? I mean, it's I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. Were you a cigarette smoker as well?
Nope. I had 2 smokes in my life.
Okay. 1
menthol, 1 regular. Neither worked for me.
Yeah, good.
Especially the menthol.
And so how many okay, first of all, when did you announce that you were quitting drinking? Did you do it for day 1, or did you keep it a secret until you had a few months under your belt?
I was like horribly depressed. Like I think after I detoxed, I remember I was like kind of like a blubbering
90
fool.
days?
I had it's like I couldn't control my emotions. All these crazy things happen when you get like sober from like that kind of addiction. And I was super emotional. I was just like tearing up all the time. It was really awful. And then I hit like this crazy depression. And then I think as I came out of that, I was like, I think I can say something now.
Are you prone to depression?
No.
And
I'm
so
not.
This was new, and how long did that last?
It was a month long. It was about a month
after
or,
the
month
90
or two.
days?
No, it was during that time. Okay. It was about a month or 2 long. I'm not prone to that at all. I have obsessive compulsive disorder, which is a bit of a pain, which can also explain to people why I'm always doing, because I run faster than everyone else. It's just naturally. Some people can't focus. I over focus.
Really?
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's so I'm not depressed. I'm like the opposite. I'm just like manic. Let's do something. It's like in the studio. The recording engineers had a good laugh, because anyone who goes in the studio knows that you hear this a lot. All right, guys, come in. Let's take a listen. And when we go in and listen, I'd listen once. Say, okay, like let's not pat ourselves on the back here. Let's go do this right and move on. And that's the reason, like when we had when you have 25 musicians, 9 songs, people coming in and out, and a hard schedule. That's why I'm like, someone's like, are you producing this record? I'm like, well, producing in the sense that I say, yeah, it's good enough, and let's move on. I don't have any brilliant musical ideas. I'm not necessarily bringing the best take out of everyone. I can't do that. There's a lot better musicians in this band than me, a lot better. But I'm pretty good at saying, like, that is good enough, because you can get in your head in a studio. You'll convince yourself that, maybe this tone. No, you sound awesome. That was great. Let's move on. That's hard. Telling people it's good. We're going. We're moving now. No, don't be left behind. You got this. And I think we have a new tune called Mr. Holland's Locust. It was the only one that took a while to record, because it's
really
like so weird. But other than that, everything was like bang, bang, bang. Even She Died Before Seeing the Hollywood Sign, which is the very last tune, Hollywood. And
titles are up.
Yeah, well, it's just called Hollywood. It was originally had that big long title. But Mr. Holland's Locust, I made sure to keep that title. But Hollywood was really like, it was so weird and conceptual that I was like, I was surprised it was so quick. So it's good. Yeah.
Now, why is it Bergsma and you had the same, like, you're gonna love this album? What's the expectation you built around my fandom? It's
not just you, Jim. I honestly have never, like, I hear Hurricane Records and I'm like, there's a good piece. There is a nice piece to that puzzle. And on Is This What You Want, it was just, we had to do so much post work. There was tuning issues. There was a lot of things. And it just, to me, didn't totally sound like Hurricane. This, I listened to it, and you'll also notice Jacob, he's like screaming for one tune. Everything else he's talking about, he's got like this kind of candor. It's like his voice is a lot lower. Sylvie's on every tune. The production value is the highest we've ever had.
And then you had a lot of experience performing the shows live too?
Yeah, all these ones, with the exception of the last 2 tunes on the record, we had basically wrote in the studio. So 7 of the tunes we've been like banging out. Some of them for 2 years, some of them like over like maybe the last month or 2.
And so that's why you figure it sounds like you actually guys do live, because you perform them so much before you went into the studio.
I wish I could just explain it better, but none of us can. It's just like we all just feel really like, oh shit, it sounds like us. Like it really sounds like, you know, when you hear like a song on the radio and that quality, to hear it back, like even after mastering, because mastering like compresses the hell out of everything, just be like, holy shit, I guess we are putting this on vinyl. It sounds that good.
Oh, I can't wait, man.
No, it's coming.
I'm
Don't
a
worry.
huge fan of
I
vinyl.
cannot not do vinyl. I'll get mugged at the table.
Yeah?
Oh, man.
Have you got everything on vinyl?
No, we don't have any vinyl.
okay.
That's why. And
But
every
they
single
expect
show.
it this time. Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm telling you, someone's going to stab me in the kidney if I don't.
Everyone's heard my complaints about vinyl. But what's the problem with my turntable? The preamp level that it goes out through my phono jack is just so, it's like, it's way lower than all my other inputs, and my amp has to work way too hard to get proper sound.
Probably because it's from like 1971.
It is.
Jim.
It's an R461.
That thing's 10 years older than me.
That's an R461 Kyocera 50 watt aside amp with 3 dB headroom, when we used to actually include headroom in amps, and so it sounds more like 120 watts aside. It's Decimal 008 THD or something like that. But
I don't know
will
what any
fix
of that
that
means.
thing over and over and over and over. Kyocera is an industrial ceramics company.
Well,
it used to be, and they had this one series of really high-end audiophile stuff, and then they got out of the business. And I worked at a place, and we bought a bunch of them, and oh man, I spread that R461 around to so many. It's an integrated amplifier, but it just absolutely gorgeous. But I'm wondering if there's a preamp adjustment for, and that's an old Luxman turntable too, but I just can't get the volume out of it, you know. And if you crank it up so much, then your distortion goes, your heat starts to max you out for the amp's capacity. But
you know what you could always do? Just like get it on Spotify. You know, just like buy a CD for Christ's sake and stop.
Oh, I love that vinyl. Man.
I like vinyl too, but I know shit's quieter. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not gonna pretend to understand the subtle nuances that you clearly understand. But yeah, it's quieter.
Like
there you go. There's my professional input on this. Yeah.
Danno, I really appreciate the time. What didn't we touch on today that we should? But I want to get you out of here on time.
Just
an hour and 46 minutes, kind of. What time did we start? Thanks, G, for running the controls.
I don't know, man. I think that I don't think I have much to say other than it's good. This stuff is good, you know, and I think it's good that you're doing this, and we got to just keep shining the light on people. That's it. And we got to keep encouraging people, like everyone who comes in, to, if you do believe in your music, go outside, get outside this comfort zone. Because when you play your hometown, there's your aunts there and your friends from work and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with your hometown. It's great. You need that show. You need a win. Good. I get that. But you need to go, and if it's a loss, otherwise, why is it a loss? And what do you need to change, and what do you need to do? How do you build it? That's how you learn. I only know people are just like, oh, I wish I knew all the stuff you knew. I'm like, oh, I only know because I'm a chronic failer, because I do things a lot, and if they fail, I don't get angry about it. I figure out, well, what did I do wrong? You know, why does Winnipeg hate me? You know, like, so that sort of thing. What do I have to do? I got to talk to people. I got to talk to promoters. Is there different nights I should be here on? Where should I be playing? Is there a festival I can play first that maybe more people would see us? Is there a better place a better time of year? Is there a better place to play? That's it. You know, you got to do that sort of work. And I have such huge respect for anyone who gets out and goes. Gets out and goes and lives off continental breakfast and that terrible coffee you can make in your hotel room. You know, it tastes like it was filtered through a sock. You know, it's like that. There's an art to that, and I can understand that it's not as simple as saying just go. Like, I get that there's life and there's things, but a lot of times the biggest thing standing between you and going is your brain. Stop that. Your brain is like a bad neighborhood. Get the hell out of there.
Wow. Truer words. Yeah, I really appreciate you acknowledging that. And Rock Our Town's become something that, I'm, again, for the love of it. I didn't want the footage to just go away. It got shelved after Keith Bellamy, the founder.
I remember doing an interview
I've got it
at
all,
his house.
And it's running on, not maybe that interview, but a lot of that stuff is back on the YouTube channel and stuff like that. So, never, it's coming up on 8 months or something like that. I didn't buy this, the assets with the thought like, oh, this is going to be what's going to make me all the money. It's been running ad-free donation. I haven't had one donation yet. I just tweeted for the first time yesterday, hey, yeah, we got this thing going. And oh, by the way, if you want to shoot us $5, it'd help because there's monthly costs and stuff like that. So Berger nicknamed me the Praise Master because I unknowingly shower love on artists that actually it turns out they need to hear it. Because they're not hearing it, because that voice tells them they're not enough or they suck so much. And it's just naturally who I am as far as saying, hey, way to go. You made a difference for me. Your music means something to me. So that's great to see that, you mentioned encouraging people is something that's really important to you because, it's...
You can focus on Andy Petrowski and all the bad things all you want. But, the truth is there's light in this town. There's things happening in, I go to Mate and I see people coming up with ideas, people going to jams, going to writing things. I saw this thing that G did the other day, this jam with Sippis, and I thought I was listening to it and I was like, this is really great. Yeah. This could be a band, or there's all sorts of great stuff happening. I love it. Even if I don't get it, this is my goal this week. Check this out. This is crazy for me. I never go to music. On Thursday, I'm going to go see the legendary Klopex, which blows my mind that I'm going to see them again. Friday, I'm going to go see Strange Shakes. Saturday, I'm going to the Weather Wilds show. And Sunday, I'm going to go see Everett Champion play. I'm going to go four. He's at Warehouse. 3 of those shows are at Warehouse. I go to Warehouse 3 times a year, and I'm usually playing it. And I'm going, and I saw Katie Gatta last month. I'm trying to, while I'm home, for this very small time, I want to go out and I want to be some support because there's
well, you know how much that means to people.
Well,
and even the fans of yours that see you in the house are like, oh, cool, Danno's here supporting whoever. Yeah,
or maybe they don't care and it's a body and it's someone who paid cover. And good.
No, they care for sure.
And
they do.
And I think that there's, I'm not going out because they'll think that it's anything important that I'm there because I don't. But I think it's just great because there's a body there. It's a paying person who's in, checking out the show, seeing stuff. I love that. Yeah. It's great.
You got any shows? I saw that USS, every time they play, what's the one in Niagara Falls, New York, Rapids Theater?
Oh, Rapids Theater, yeah.
So every time USS plays a show there, Jason does a DJ set afterwards. Now, he doesn't do that anywhere else on the road, apparently. It's just at the Rapids, and it's become this little secret. There's going to be a session, where he DJs after a dance party. Have you got any special spots that you do something unique every time at, or no?
Traditions. Every place is. There's usually a party. We play this little tiny cafe, Neat Cafe, near Ottawa, and it only holds 100 people, and it's an expensive.
The band takes up half the bar.
Well, it's an expensive ticket too, but we still keep coming back to it.
What's the most you got for a ticket?
That people pay?
Yeah.
I don't know. Not at festivals, because festivals are obviously very expensive, but I think a hard ticket, $40 or $45, something like that. Good. And we don't even like that. I prefer not, but I understand at a place like that, people are coming to do something interesting, and they know that 96 other people can only be there.
And do you think they're coming there because they're I was there when?
I think they come, I saw July Talk there, I remember, and I saw Whitehorse there. And, because it's a different show. We might be more inclined to pull out some slower stuff. We might be inclined to pull out some stuff we don't normally do. Maybe let Jacob ramble on a little bit longer. He has that ability. If you didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah. So we used to have this tune called "Where's Sly." It was a cover song, but we would just let him ramble on about this. I don't even remember what it was about. I think like a homeless person. Like I think they were like a fictional, and he had this whole story. And so sometimes in those instances we'll let those things happen, but we don't have anything like where there's an underground trumpet session happening later. I mean, maybe there is, and I'm just not invited. Not impossible. They want to leave the boss back at the hotel.
Sweet, my brother. I appreciate the time. It's very cool getting you out of here on time, 7 minutes early. But you did say I knew you could carry 2 hours. Just so you know, Jacob, you did not carry 2 hours. But we did have Frank, and he was getting tired, and he was running around banging on some drums.
I was thinking of bringing my daughter just because I thought it would be really funny. But she is in grade school.
Yeah, and so cute. Thanks for posting that video, and I was really happy to see that I could share it. Yes. So I took my liberties and shared it. I saw that I didn't want to be creepy, but I saw it had another share. So
it's extra cute.
Yeah, it's super. Oh, I just she's adorable. But your face, and then right at the end, the eye roll that gets frozen in the
yeah, no, she's my sidekick.
Hi,
that one.
Mommy.
Yeah, I know. It's
oh my goodness! I'm like, yeah, I had to hear it 3 times to hear what she was saying, but. This is great. This is so. Thanks for that, brother, and thanks for your time. And I guess when are you going to launch the new tour dates and stuff like that?
Tour dates are just rolling out, and
so are you announcing them as they come in, or are you going to wait?
No, we already have almost 50, so we just have to kind of like roll them out. Like certain festivals are announced. We just announced Mariposa. And today we announced Robson Valley Festival in BC. And so we'll just keep rolling some of those bigger ones out. And then there will be like a bigger blast of like venues. And then at some point there will be an album announcement, as that all infrastructure all gets into place.
Cool.
And
yeah, I can't wait for that, man. I'm really stoked. And I'm proud of you.
Thanks, man.
I'm happy that I was early to the party. And
do I get a monogram Jim Fannon towel here?
We'll discuss that in future sessions maybe. But thanks for your vulnerability, for being open about all the things. And my hope is for acknowledging, the focusing on the artist is important. And G and I did a deep dive. I did like what I just called an air check, for lack of a better term. That's what they call in the radio business when you're program director listens to your show with you and tells you what sucks and what was good.
Mm-hmm.
We did, for lack of a better term, an air check on his last album, and so it played in the background, and we just discussed every tune as it went by. Like, I love the idea that there's a deeper look into the music with the people that wrote it. And,
well, let's have one of those after you've had like a month or two with the record.
Yeah,
Bergs and I can come back in and give our 2 cents.
And maybe what I'd like to do, I talked to Bergsman a little bit about this last time, but as the album aged, it seemed inappropriate. But I think I'd like to attempt a review, because I'm such a fan, and I have stuff to, like, I have the lyrics, I have the whole library. Well, I'm not so big on Check the Barometer, because I don't have a copy of it. I'm gonna have to.
I don't think I have a copy of it.
And so, yeah, no, I appreciate that, but I think I'm going to attempt a review because of my bias, number one, and so it'll be mostly positive, obviously, because I'm a huge fan, but then I've got everything to compare it to these previous albums that I'm also in love with. But, I think it's important to let you know, man, I mean, cashing Dead Man's check. It doesn't matter what album it was, man. It stayed in my deck for a long time and meant a lot to me till I have to shelve it because I'm so tired of it. And then it's like pulling, not that you pull an old lover off the shelf, but it is an old lover. It's, you fell in love with this album. You were on it for months, and then you had to, okay, I'm done with that. And then when you bring it back, you're like, oh, I remember how much I miss this now, man. So it's, I love how it goes in and out.
And you heard it here. Jim Fannon's old lover.
Cashing a Dead Man's check. Back in the rotation. Okay, we're going to put this up on rockertown.ca later. And you can check out some All Niagara music there as well. You know where to find Danno online. Check My Son the Hurricane out. Documentary. I'm pumped about that, man. When I guess we just stay tuned to you when it's...
Yeah, end of December.
Really? To watch it?
That's the plan.
It's coming out. Christmas present, just like Leonard Kenny.
That's the plan.
Share it around. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, G, for helping out. And if you could sign us off, that'd be great. Peace.